The series events begin on a completely normal day until a massive earthquake changes everything in a split second, destroying the country. Amidst the ruins, only one area survives, calling itself the concrete market. Money and authority vanish, replaced by a barter system. If you don't have food, water, or medicine, you are disposed of. Those with stockpiles of food live like kings among the survivors. They enforce their own laws within the zone. A man named Park appoints himself the leader. His men handle the population, collecting tributes and supplies to deliver to him. We meet our heroine, Hiroya. She lived a simple life before, but now she focuses solely on survival and adapting to this new reality. Living just outside the market boundaries, she collects canned food to trade. She enters the market to exchange food for medicine to treat a leg wound. Seeing the injury from the earthquake, a guard tells her, "Too bad, you can't go to the 8th floor." Confused, she asks what happens there. He explains it is the place where girls with nothing to trade, no food or water, are forced to go. They have to sell themselves to Chairman Park just to be allowed to live. She walks through the market, witnessing life after the world's collapse. Everyone tries to sell whatever products they can find in exchange for cans of food, bottles of water, or oil to start fires for warmth. As for money, it is useless trash here, collected only to be burned as fuel. She sees a man named Deacon preaching morality to the crowd, urging them not to be savages and to treat each other with kindness to survive this crisis, calling it a test of patience. Suddenly, the commander, Taigen, steps up holding a drill. He approaches Deacon and tells him, "This is the world now. You either become a monster like us or say goodbye to your life." He grabs Deacon's hand and drills nails into it to send a clear message to everyone watching. Hiroya watches from afar and asks the people around her who he is. A bystander explains that he is Chairman Park's assistant and right-hand man. He commands many men, and everyone fears him. Hiroya usually avoids the gang and lives far from the market center, but her open wound forced her to enter today. We see Taigen's gang collecting tributes from merchants in exchange for allowing them to sell their goods. They find one shop closed. Approaching it, they smell a foul odor. Inside, they are shocked to find someone has taken out the merchants and stolen everything. Taigen sets down the sack of collected food tributes to investigate the bodies. In that moment, someone steals the sack unnoticed and sprints away. When one of his men notices the sack is gone, they all rush out to chase the thief. Outside, Taigen runs into Deacon, who is rambling about a thief who robbed him. Taigen stops him and asks for a description. Deacon is terrified but answers. We learn that Hiroya is the thief. She looted the place after Taigen's drill display. The world is collapsing, so there is no time for lectures, only survival. Deacon describes the thief to Taigen, but Taigen assumes it is a man. He orders his men to turn the place upside down until they find the thief who dared to steal from him. We see Hiroya carrying the heavy sack on her shoulder and her supply bag in the other hand. Realizing they are hunting her, she quickly empties the sack's contents into her bag. She bandages her leg wound and lets her hair down to blend in, walking normally through the market. She spots Taigen and his gang and tries to change direction, but suddenly bumps into him by mistake. He spots her but rushes past to lock all the market entrances and exits. She realizes she is trapped, and they won't let her leave easily. Taigen informs the gate guards of the theft. No one comes in or out until the thief is caught. His men stand with him, panicking. They ask how they will pay the chairman now that the tribute is stolen. They know Park won't show mercy and will sign their death warrants if he finds out. Just then, a man arrives handing over the empty sack, saying he found it in an abandoned building. Taigen quickly puts the pieces together. The thief transferred the goods to a large bag. He remembers the girl he bumped into and realizes she was carrying a bag. He tells his men the thief is a woman, not a man, and she is still inside the market. He orders them to hunt her down, take the goods, and kill her. Hiroya realizes her cover is blown and the whole market is looking for a woman with a bag. She smashes the window of a car and hides her bag inside so she can move freely. She tries to find a secluded place to hide for the night. Suddenly, she spots her close friend Sejong heading up to the 8th floor. We learn Sejong is going to Chairman Park. She is one of the girls who decided to sell themselves to survive in this world. However, unlike the others doing it for extra food, she is there for insulin injections. Park controls the medical wing, and no medicine is distributed without his knowledge. After Sejong gets what she needs, she leaves. Park summons his top lieutenants, Taigen and Cheol. They execute his orders and collect supplies weekly, allowing Park to rule from the shadows without dirtying his hands. The two assistants are rivals, each responsible for different zones. Park scolds them for the week's low tribute. After they apologize, he asks, "Which one of you locked the entrances and exits?" Cheol immediately points at Taigen, throwing him under the bus. Taigen explains there was a minor problem he is resolving quickly. Park hints that if he isn't up to the trust placed in him, he should say so and hand the territory to someone else. He orders Taigen to reopen the gates and never act without permission again. He decides to let it slide without punishment this time. Later, as people stand in lines for water, Hiroya spots Sejong. Cheol harasses Sejong, telling her she should visit the chairman every day because it is the first time he has seen him this calm. However, Sejong berates him and leaves. She goes to fill up water, but they refuse to take any tribute from her, informing her that these are the chairman's instructions and she is the only one who can take anything for free. At that moment, Cheol comes up behind her and shoves her, causing her to fall on her face along with the bucket she just filled. He snidely says, "Oops. Sorry, it was an accident." After she leaves, Hiroya approaches and calls out to her. Sejong is overjoyed to see her friend. They stand together, catching up on their lives since the earthquake. When Hiroya mentions seeing her near the 8th floor, Sejong confesses the truth. She was forced to sell herself to survive. Hiroya notices marks on Sejong's arm, grabs her hand, and asks, "What is this?" suspecting her friend has become an addict. Sejong doesn't give a clear answer. Hiroya insists they must escape immediately. But Sejong explains that life inside is much better than outside. At least here, they find food and a place to sleep, even if there is a price. She assures her that living in the market is safer than the wilderness. Suddenly, an announcement over the loudspeakers declares that the market gates will close permanently in 10 minutes. Sejong begs Hiroya to stay and live with her in the market, pleading not to be left alone now that they finally found each other. But Hiroya doesn't listen and leaves her behind. That night, Hiroya sleeps in the car, trying to evade Taigen. Suddenly, a loud thud echoes nearby. As Taigen's men approach to investigate, Hiroya moves closer too. She sees Sejong lying on the ground, bleeding from everywhere after being thrown from a height. She is terrified as she watches the life drain from her friend's eyes. Hiroya looks up and sees Park, realizing he is the chairman and that he threw her from the 8th floor. The gang gathers, removes the body, and dumps it far away. They are confused about why Park disposed of her so suddenly when she was constantly by his side. After they leave, Hiroya goes to check on her friend, hoping she might still be alive. Instead, she finds her dead, with dogs gathering to tear at her flesh. She breaks down and screams, revealing her location. One of the gang members grabs her, saying, "We finally got you." She smashes a rock onto his head, attacks them with an iron bar, and tries to escape. But Taigen arrives, stops her, and knocks her unconscious. The next morning, the gang gossips about why the chairman turned on Sejong and threw her off the roof. They speculate she might have annoyed him, knowing his short temper. One suggests she was a burden because she was diabetic, and since Park controls the medical supplies, he decided to get rid of her. Taigen stops them, shouting, "What is wrong with you? You aren't talking about a normal guy. That's our chairman. If I hear anyone talking like this again, I'll end them myself." When Hiroya wakes up, Taigen asks for the location of the bag. She replies, "What do you want with my bag?" He accuses her of stealing the collected tributes and hiding them in it. She feigns ignorance, asking, "What proof do you have that I stole it?" His partner signals that denial won't help and that thieves are executed here, but she insists she knows nothing. Taigen puts a plastic bag over her head to suffocate her. Hiroya tries to resist, but her hands and feet are tied. After a few minutes, he removes the bag and asks again. When she remains stubborn and challenges him to just kill her because she won't talk, he orders the others to leave them alone. He sits with her, explaining that if she returns the stolen items, he might let her go unharmed. He tells her this is the first time anyone has stolen from the market, and he is forced to act this way because the market is under his protection. She still refuses to speak. Forced to torture her again, she starts hallucinating about Sejong, her death, and the marks on her arm. When he removes the bag, she babbles Sejong's name, muttering, "Sejong wasn't diabetic." Taigen asks about what she said, but she continues to hallucinate and refuses to answer. Suddenly, the rest of his men arrive to inform him that Cheol has entered his territory. Taigen confronts Cheol, asking, "What brings you here?" Cheol replies, "I heard the alcohol merchant died, so my men and I came to sell alcohol to the people." He provokes Taigen further, asking about the stolen tributes and the thief he still hasn't caught. Taigen threatens him. If he doesn't leave the territory, he will regret it. As they stand off, another earthquake hits. Everyone runs for cover except them. They stand motionless. One of Taigen's men asks him to hide, but Taigen insists it is just a minor tremor, not a full quake. During the chaos, luck favors Hiroya. A sharp tool falls near her, allowing her to cut herself free. The loudspeakers announce it was just a tremor and order everyone back to their places. Cheol waits for an answer to his offer, but Taigen refuses. Cheol warns him that the chairman is pitting them against each other, making them compete until only one remains to serve him for life. Taigen refuses to let him speak about Park that way and defends him. Cheol mocks him and provokes him further. Taigen snaps, attacking him. A fierce brawl breaks out while everyone watches. Meanwhile, Hiroya manages to free herself and escapes unnoticed. Park arrives and sees Taigen attacking Cheol. He asks, "What are you doing?" Taigen composes himself, saying he can explain, telling Park that Cheol wants to take over the alcohol shop. Cheol seizes the moment to snitch on Taigen, revealing that a thief stole most of his collected tributes. He lies, claiming he offered to help Taigen, but Taigen got angry and beat him up, messing up his face. Park asks, "Is this true?" Taigen replies that he caught the thief and has her locked in room 209. At that exact moment, one of his men runs out of the room screaming for help. Park realizes Hiroya has escaped. He decides to let Cheol and his men enter the market, assigning him to co-manage alongside Taigen because he deems Taigen incapable of running the market alone. He warns Taigen this is a light punishment and he won't be merciful next time. Later we see Hiroya trying to open room 109 after learning her friend lived there. She wants to confirm her suspicions. Indeed, she finds Sihee, Sejong's sister, hiding under the bed in a diabetic coma. We realize Sejong was taking the insulin injections for her sister. Pretending to be diabetic herself to hide her sister in the room without anyone knowing, Hiroya helps her, administering the insulin injection. When Sihee regains consciousness, Hiroya breaks the news of her sister Sejong's death. Sihee collapses in grief, revealing that her sister hid her from everyone so Park wouldn't exploit her too. Sejong had faked marks on her arm and pretended to be diabetic just to get the medicine for Sihee. Sihee blames herself, believing her sister lost her life because of her. Hiroya comforts her, assuring her it wasn't her fault and vowing never to let Sejong's death go unavenged. Checking the insulin stockpile, they find very little left, enough for maybe 2 days. Sihee asks Hiroya to stop worrying about her and just leave, but Hiroya has a plan to avenge Sejong. She refuses to abandon Sihee, insisting she will stay. Sihee warns her that it isn't as simple as she thinks. No one can access insulin except through Park, and her sister had to make a deal with him to get it. Hiroya, already suspecting the nature of that deal, reveals she also has something to trade. Later, when Taigen returns to his room, he finds Hiroya waiting for him. She confesses to stealing from him and promises to return everything, in exchange for one favor. She asks to join his crew as one of his men. She pulls out the bag and places it before him, proposing a new strategy. Instead of just collecting tributes, they should trade. The bag is just the beginning. She tells him the supplies in the bag will bring him 10 times their value in less than 2 months. She points out that winter is coming, and trade is all about supply and demand. All he has to do is trust her. He calls her crazy, but thinks for a moment. He decides to give her a chance, figuring he has nothing to lose since things are already bad for him. The next day, Taigen reasserts his control over the market. He and his men chase down a merchant stealing medicine shipments. They attack the merchant's men and beat them severely. When the merchant approaches Taigen with a weapon, Hiroya steps in and saves his life, knocking the merchant unconscious. They report to Park, who gathers everyone, including the captive merchant. He reminds them they are the only society left after the earthquake. If they control food, medicine, and oil, they control the world and can live in peace. Everyone agrees. Park confronts the merchant, revealing someone has been stealing medicine, implying it is him. The merchant swears he didn't steal, but they produce a box of medicine found in his shop. He confesses he only found it and kept it to trade for food, harboring no other intentions. Park says he respects the truth. He pushes the merchant, who is tied to a rope connected to another person hanging off the ledge. The person falls and dies, pulling the next person holding the rope down too. The weight drags the merchant backward, but he clings to the edge desperately. Park stands over him, threatening him. In that moment, Hiroya steps in and pushes the merchant off the edge, ending his life to catch Park's attention. Park asks Taigen, who is she? Taigen introduces her as a new member of his group, apologizing for her recklessness as she hasn't learned the ropes yet. But Park is pleased. He hints she has potential. Since Taigen exposed the merchant and returned the stolen medicine, he has redeemed himself in Park's eyes. Park asks how he discovered the missing medicine. Taigen claims he calculated the delivered amounts, found discrepancies, and investigated until he found the culprit. Park is surprised Taigen used his brain for once and is happy with him. Of course, Hiroya was the mastermind behind the entire operation. After Park leaves, Taigen scolds Hiroya for acting without his permission. She retorts that she also acted on her own when she saved his life that morning, which wasn't part of their deal either. When Hiroya visits Sihee, she surprises her with a stolen power cord from Park's house and several boxes of insulin she swiped from the merchant's shop unnoticed. She assures her they will last a few days and tells her not to worry. Hiroya mentions she sneaks out often and advises Sihee to stay hidden for safety. Sihee points out she knows Hiroya killed a man today and blames her for risking her life. Hiroya ignores the comment but warns Sihee not to risk her life over some books for entertainment. If Park sees her, he will kill her. On the other side, Cheol warns Taigen that their cigarette stock is running low. He went down to the first floor to buy some and was shocked to find people trading a whole pack of cigarettes for just 1 can of food, whereas he used to get 3 packs. He hints Taigen is losing money, but Taigen just laughs it off. Cheol asks, "What are you planning? Did you become a merchant behind our backs?" He accuses Taigen of ruining things for his men in the market. Taigen tells him if he is upset, he can compete and sell cheaper. A few days later, Taigen talks to Hiroya. He acknowledges that barter is their life now, but says if he learned anything from her, it is trust. However, he demands to know her goal and why she is helping him. He explains he did everything she asked, bought up all the cigarettes in the market to drive up the price, and hoarded oil and lighters. He angrily demands to know why they need them. He points out that even the goods she promised would bring 10 times profit are gone, exchanged for cigarettes and oil. Hiroya stands up and asks, "Does anyone know today's date?" They reply, It's just a day like any other, what does it matter? Implying time is irrelevant now. She warns them that winter and rain are less than 2 weeks away. The wood will be wet, and no one will be able to start fires for warmth. That is when they will bring out the oil and lighters, selling them for multiplied amounts of food. People will line up because no one else has them. Plus, smokers won't last 3 days without cigarettes and will pay anything, even doubling their food payment just for 1 pack. They are impressed by her plan. Indeed, winter arrives and people line up to trade everything they have for cigarettes, oil, and lighters. Cheol watches them rake in profits, furious that Taegan has outsmarted him. A few days later, Taegan hands Park 2 sacks of food. Cheol arrives empty-handed. Park asks, "Where are your earnings?" Cheol claims it was a tough season due to the rain. Park retorts, "Was it tough only in your area?" Taegan seems to be doing just fine. He tries to point out that Taegan had stockpiled those supplies a while ago, mocking Cheol for not using his brain. If he had, he would have succeeded too. Then, Park rewards Taegan by giving him control of the garage sector, which was previously ruled by Cheol. When Cheol shows his frustration, Park twists the knife further by also handing over control of the 4th floor to Taegan, making him responsible for it as well. Taegan is thrilled and thanks him profusely. That night, Hiroya sits with Saihee. Saihee asks about her plan for the coming days. Hiroya reveals she wants to secure a steady and guaranteed supply of insulin. She is looking for a plan to seize control of the medical wing currently under Park's command, so she can access it easily. At the end of the day, Taegan sits with Hiroya, updating her on their progress. They now control everything from the garage up to the 4th floor. He hints that all this happened thanks to her. He admits their beginning wasn't exactly honorable, but says they are now a team. He dreams with her about expanding further and reaching the 8th floor. At that moment, Hiroya remembers Sejong and what happened to her. Her only thought is reaching the 8th floor to finish Park herself and avenge her friend. Later, she asks him, "Have you ever thought about taking Park's place in ruling the market?" He laughs and asks, "You mean betray the chairman?" She replies, "Why not? He's not your father after all." Realizing she is serious, he asks about her life outside the market and how she survived alone. She tells him she didn't come from far away as he assumes. Her life before the earthquake was very similar to her life here. She learned to defy circumstances and struggle on her own, which is why she adapted quickly and survived until now. He shares his story. He lived in a place like a reformatory. He fought with other kids over food and got stabbed in the leg. The wound was deep and bled for a long time. Instead of treating him, they kicked him out, claiming he was a burden and food was scarce. Just then, the earthquake hit. He sat alone among the rubble, bleeding and waiting for the end, until Chairman Park found him and saved him. He points out that if Park hadn't appeared, his life would have ended long ago, explaining that he owes Park his life. Hiroya goes to Saihee's room and tells her she doesn't know how to get to Park anymore. Taegan shut down that angle completely because he feels indebted to Park for his life, so he would never betray him. Saihee clarifies that Taegan isn't just indebted, he idolizes Park and loves him deeply. Basically, that door is locked tight. Then, Hiroya gets an idea, meeting the merchants who distribute medicine. The next morning, she meets them and trades a can of food for specific medications. A while later, we see Park sitting with the water well behind him. Suddenly, he hears his men saying there is no water. It seems the well is blocked. Before he can investigate, a man runs up to him at full speed, reporting a problem with the sewage system. It is completely clogged, and no one can pass. This causes chaos and panic in the market. People gather around Park, terrified that if the water doesn't come back, they will all die of thirst. Park realizes they are facing a real crisis. If he doesn't act fast, he will lose control of the market. He raises his voice, asking if anyone present knows how to solve the problem. Everyone falls silent. At that moment, Hiroya steps forward. She explains that the river flooded after the rain, pushing water into the sewage system, causing the blockage. She tells him if they follow her advice, they can solve the problem quickly. Park listens as she points out the sensitivity of the situation, warning her to speak up only if she is sure. She continues, explaining that his well water comes from the mountain well, so they can build a new connection to bring water from there in just a few days. He asks, "How do you know all this?" She reveals she grew up in a similar place and has her own experience. She asks for a chance, promising to solve the problem in less than 3 days. "Try me, you won't regret it." Park dismisses the crowd and invites her to lunch. There, he discusses her idea further. She explains she can solve the problem but wants to choose her own team. He agrees. Noticing she isn't eating, he asks, "Don't you like the food?" Sejong loved it. She stares at him, wanting to eat him alive or smash his head into the plate, but she maintains her composure. He says, "Forgive me if I didn't clarify. Sejong is my ex." He asks her age and finds she is the same age as Sejong. He comments loudly on this, noting he hasn't seen anyone her age here. He adds that Sejong passed away. Hiroya is furious. He killed her and now sits there casually mentioning her name. He tells her if she solves the problem, it would be a waste for her to work with Taegan, hinting her place is beside him. He asks about her studies and what she wanted to be. She replies she wanted to be a prosecutor. He points out that when the earthquake hit, everyone with degrees, lawyers, judges, ended up under the rubble as corpses. They couldn't save themselves, but he wasn't born with a silver spoon in his mouth. He lived his life in a jungle, so he adapted quickly, survived, and now rules this world. He tells her he was a pharmaceutical sales representative, just an employee with a monthly salary. He noticed that employees like him who did their jobs weren't the ones getting promoted or getting raises. It was the others, the snitches who reported everything, who got what they wanted and won in the end. He hints that winning is written for her too. In other words, he is asking her to be his spy and report everything happening in the market. She understands his intention immediately and asks, "Don't you trust Taigen?" He replies, "Truthfully, he treats me well, but I don't even trust my own father. I only trust people I have leverage over." She asks, "Then why do you trust me?" He shocks her by revealing he knows her weakness. She has a heart condition and needs medication. We learn Hiroya planned this carefully. She knew the merchants would tell him she took heart medication to trick him into thinking her life depended on him, making him believe he had leverage over her. He stands before her and makes a deal. News for pills. He tells her, "Your life, sweetheart, is in my hands now." She lets him believe she has a heart condition and pretends he has indeed exposed her and she needs him. She agrees to the deal, takes the pill, and leaves. Meanwhile, Cheol spots Si-hee sneaking out in disguise. He notices she is wearing the exact same jacket Sejong used to wear. He watches her and thinks she is Sejong herself, especially when she enters her room with a key. He feels like he is going crazy. He saw her dead with his own eyes. That night, Hiroya scolds Si-hee for leaving the room. "You did what you wanted and went out anyway?" Si-hee apologizes and says it seems Cheol saw her. Just as Hiroya asks if he saw her face or just her back, there is a knock on the door. It is Cheol. Si-hee quickly hides, and Hiroya opens the door, asking Cheol what he wants at this late hour. He explains that he spotted a thief on the floor earlier and has searched everywhere except her room. Without waiting for permission, he barges in, looking left and right. He asks, "Did you know a girl named Sejong?" Hiroya plays dumb, asking who that is. He replies sarcastically, "What a coincidence. The day you arrived at the market, that girl died." He points out that Sejong lived in this very room. He reveals that today, while Hiroya was out, he saw someone who looked exactly like Sejong entering the room with a key. He solves the puzzle right there. It's probably her sister, living here before you honored us with your presence. She's here with us now, listening, isn't she? Hiroya hints that he seems stressed and should get himself treated, but he cuts to the chase, acknowledging that she is here to avenge Sejong. He tells her she chose the wrong ally in Taigen because Taigen will never bite the hand that feeds him, but Cheol will. He reveals he can't stand Park and wants to get rid of him yesterday rather than tomorrow to take over the market himself. He gives her a choice: ask for his help and plan together, or he goes straight to Park, reveals her true intentions, and personally delivers Sejong's sister to the 8th floor. He notes she would become Park's favorite meal. He gives her a 1-week deadline to consider his offer, saying he won't be responsible for what happens after that, then leaves. Si-hee comes out, terrified, asking what to do. She hates Cheol and knows they can't trust a word he says. Hiroya interrupts, emphasizing that they share the same goal: getting rid of Park. Si-hee warns her that if Cheol betrays them, they will both lose their lives just like her sister. Hiroya explains she has no choice. She can't risk Park finding out. The next day, Hiroya sits with Cheol and tells him she accepts his offer, but with 3 conditions. First, if they take control of the 9th floor, she runs the medical wing. Second, he must never go near Si-hee. Third, no one, not even his men, can know about their agreement. He agrees to all terms and asks for the plan. She tells him she will put a harmful substance in Park's water reserve. He hesitates, asking, "So there's no way around getting our hands dirty?" She reminds him of their deal. He agreed from the start, so he can't back out now. Later, we learn she's contaminated the remaining water supply. Park goes crazy when he finds out, demanding to know who dared to do this. His men report that the guard saw someone wearing a mask near the area. Before Park loses his temper completely, a woman named Lun, Taigen's sister, arrives holding a cleaning agent. The guards stop her, asking if she wants to drink the water and die. She explains that the main ingredient in her cleaner is sodium, and when mixed with water, it creates a chemical reaction that kills bacteria and sterilizes it. She claims to know the exact ratio to use. Park orders his men to let her work. She adds the cleaner to the water and tells him, "By tomorrow you can drink it normally." Park puts his hand on her shoulder and tells her, "Remind me to invite you to dinner." We discover that Lun herself was the one who created the substance and contaminated the water, not Hiroya. Her friends scold her for this risky move, saying she should have just poisoned the chairman and ended his evil instead of playing games. They warn her she might end up as another Sejong. She replies that this is exactly what she wants: to get close to him so she can extract revenge for everyone. A while later, Hiroya visits Park, claiming she knows who contaminated the water. She plans to pit them all against each other. She presents a mask to Park, claiming she found it in Taigen's room. When he asks for proof, she points out that yesterday, Taigen's family converted their entire food stock into bottled water. She tells him if he doesn't believe her, he can ask his men. Before she leaves, he gives her a whole box of medicine, saying she earned it. Taigen goes to his room and finds Cheol sitting with his sister. Cheol tells him that his sister has become Sejong too, and the chairman has taken a liking to her. Taigen gets angry. Cheol asks Loon to explain what happened. When she remains silent, Taigen warns her to stay away from Park. Cheol intervenes, telling him that won't be easy. He reveals the truth. The boss Taigen loves and respects is actually a monster who has committed terrible crimes. He drops the bombshell that Park was the one who killed Sejong and that he exploits girls in exchange for food. Taigen leaves, unable to process what he just heard. He runs into Park on his way but can't even look him in the eye. Park hints that he knows Taigen and his family have been hoarding water bottles, stating he will be forced to lock the reservoir room. Taigen replies, "You should, so you can focus on other things," subtly hinting at Park's illicit activities and crimes. Park slaps him across the face, shouting, "No good deed goes unpunished. After I picked you up from the streets, you grew a tongue and started talking back." Taigen apologizes and leaves. Later, Park sits alone, convinced Taigen is indeed the traitor who contaminated the water. He asks the mute guard to describe the culprit. We learn Hiroya had already sat with the guard and coached him on everything, instructing him to identify Taigen to frame them all and set the stage for her plan. The guard writes down Taigen's name. Park is now certain Hiroya was right. He summons her and tells her they must get rid of Taigen as soon as possible. He says Taigen has sealed his own fate. Instead of stopping him, Hiroya supports the decision but advises him to let Cheol be the one to kill Taigen. She explains that if Park kills him personally, Taigen's many loyal followers will turn against him, and he will lose control of half the men. Park is convinced by her logic and orders his men to summon Cheol. He looks at Hiroya, surprised. She used to be Taigen's right hand, eating and drinking with him. Yet now she agrees to his elimination and is even helping plan it. While leaving, she meets Cheol. She tells him everything is set and he just needs to agree to whatever Park asks of him. Then she goes to Taigen, informing him that the chairman wants to meet him at 9 p.m. to settle their differences. Taigen asks, "Why did he tell you specifically?" She lies, saying she bumped into Park by chance, and he mentioned it. She asks Taigen what happened between him and Park, but he claims nothing happened and shuts down the conversation. At the appointed time, Cheol and his men prepare to execute the hit. Before Taigen heads up to Park, Hiroya stops him. She shows him a voice recorder she had planted in Park's room, playing back every word Park said. Taigen hears Park instructing Cheol to ambush him when he arrives for the meeting, ordering Cheol to kill him. Taigen also hears Park admitting he only saved him initially to recruit him as a loyal servant, calculating that saving his life would make Taigen eternally indebted and loyal. Taigen breaks down upon hearing this. Hiroya advises him to strike first and eat him for lunch before he eats you for dinner, warning that Park will kill him anyway if he finds out he is still alive. She tells him today is his only chance. Taigen declares that no one will kill Park but him. He asks where Cheol is. Hiroya tells him not to worry. We learn she sent the mute guard to intercept Cheol, striking a deal to give him headache medicine in exchange for stopping Cheol. Indeed, we see the guard ambush Cheol, beating him and leaving him bleeding on the ground. Hiroya plays the recording for all of Taigen's men. They are furious upon learning the truth about their leader. Taigen riles them up further, declaring they won't let someone like Park rule them anymore and must unite against him. Later, Sihi sits with Hiroya and reveals she is certain Park killed her sister. She overheard Loon talking to her friends, warning her not to have dinner with Park or she would end up like Sejong. They mentioned hearing that Sejong's body had red spots and that Park had poisoned her medicine. Sihi tells Hiroya everything, warning her that Loon is trying to get close to Park. Hiroya promises to investigate the matter herself. Late that night, Hiroya sneaks into Taigen's house and searches Loon's room for clues about her story. She finds a diary and starts reading. Suddenly, Loon and her friends walk in. They assume Hiroya is there to take over, but she clarifies they share the same goal: getting rid of Park. We learned Sejong was actually one of them, the one most determined to kill Park. When she helped get medicine behind his back, Park discovered it and threw her off the roof that same day. At that moment, Taigen rushes in, panicked. He heard Park had detained a girl and feared it was his sister Loon. He is relieved to find both her and Hiroya safe. Meanwhile, Park discovers a shortage of headache medicine. He suspects Hiroya since she is the only one with free access to the floor. We see Sihi hearing movement and a key turning in the lock. She hides. Once the noise fades, she leaves the room and looks around the hallway, but Park spots her. He decides to host her. At this time, Hiroya confesses everything to Taigen. She reveals she was playing all of them to get revenge for her friend. Taigen explains it will be difficult to rescue Sihi now, because Park has gathered all his men on that floor. She asks him to try freezing the water or causing any problem to distract the men. He promises to try. She then admits she was the one who planted the idea in Park's head to kill Taigen. He scolds her, asking, "What is the difference between you and him now?" She has no answer. However, they all agree to help her. Even Taigen says, "Even though you dragged me into this mess, I will help you." They agree to build the water connection as fast as possible to restore the water flow, creating a diversion to save Sihi. The next day, one of Park's men notices the water is back and rushes to tell him. Park goes out to check for himself, leaving Sae alone. Hiroya sneaks in and frees her. She tells Sae to run while she grabs the insulin, promising to catch up. Meanwhile, news reaches Park that the guards left Sae unguarded, so he heads back to check on her. Taigen's men clash with Park's men, and a fierce battle erupts. We return to Hiroya, frantically collecting all the insulin boxes. At the same time, we see Park sprinting back. She tries to hurry to escape before he catches her. Meanwhile, Sae reaches Taigen's apartment and assures everyone she is safe, but tells them Hiroya refused to leave without the medicine. They all wait anxiously. At that moment, Hiroya is caught. Park enters and says, "A kid like you thought she could fool me?" She confesses she is there to kill him and avenge Sejong, revealing this was her plan from the start. He laughs and reveals he didn't kill Sejong. She calls him a liar, saying he is exposed and that she knows he poisoned her food and threw her off the roof. We discover he is telling the truth. All he did was add extra cheese sauce to the food because he genuinely liked her, not knowing she was allergic to it. After they ate, she confessed she didn't love him and was disgusted by him. She ran from him, stood on the ledge, and suddenly jumped, ending her own life. He tells Hiroya her friend died because of her sister, not him. Suddenly, his men enter, holding Lun and her friends captive. Hiroya reveals the well she told him about was real, but the water that just arrived was poisoned. Before he can accuse his men, she points out that poison can be made from anything, cleaning products or even makeup. We see the poison taking effect on Park. He starts bleeding from the mouth. In a rage, he attacks Hiroya, choking her. He locks the door, preventing anyone from reaching them. Just as Hiroya is about to die in his grip, he loses his strength and collapses. Everyone breaks in and checks on her. They watch him dying before their eyes. One of the girls, unable to stand hearing another word from him, grabs a hammer and silences him forever. Park is dead. After the nightmare finally ends, Hiroya apologizes to Taigen for everything. She asks him, since he will be the leader now, to teach them how to live together and protect each other in this new world without losing their humanity or turning into people like Park. She hears music and hallucinates Sejong standing there, smiling at her as if thanking her for getting justice.